Android is yours.
Doctor, lawyer, I'll never be life of a drifter, only life for me. Bang, 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 vamonos.
Hello. This will be the first dev stream for playing through StarSim. I'm joined with Will.
How you doing?
I guess the star for a new game, really fresh.
So yeah, our dev stream today and for the foreseeable future is going to focus on what StarSim Beyond Space does for Starfield. So we've got a lot of input over the last 24 hours, and we are working through that feedback right now. There's going to be some major changes to the creations page to make the features more prominent. We're adjusting the trailers and doing some new videos to show everything as well. So we hear everything, keep throwing stuff at us. We're going to go through and make those changes. As I've mentioned, Reddit, Discord, open book. We're going to change everything if folks feel we need to make those changes. So just lay it on us. You need something changed, we'll make the changes. If we need to make things clearer, we'll make them clearer. If we need adjustments within StarSim itself, we'll make those adjustments. So yeah, just keep the feedback coming in and we'll do that. We'll start up. Xylo's going to be piloting this whole thing, piloting space. But so the Terra portion here is going to be pretty much identical. We don't change anything on the planets at all. And then here from there. So yeah, Xyla, enjoy the very beginning of this wonderful elevator scene that is in our nightmares.
For the 200th time.
Maybe for you. I'm on 10,000 times.
Your first outing was solid. And, you know, let's be honest, it ain't exactly astrophysics.
That's why I keep him around. Good pep talks.
Yeah.
Cars like to drive past occasionally. I don't know if that came through on the stream.
Not untrue. A shame we won't find any down here. But the metal deposits alone should pay for our own helium. Hell, after this, we'll have enough jump.
Can't keep the windows closed in this weather though.
Systems to the next.
Hey, more minerals, more money. And so the cycle repeats itself.
Just no more unauthorized jumps in the house for room space, okay?
He's just a big baby. There are worse lives. You know, most Dusties don't even make it this far. I have a good feeling about you.
Group hug now or at the end of the shift?
One of these days, Hella, I am going to leave you behind.
Promises, promises.
Okay, let's see what we've got. How are we on time?
A little longer. Grab some samples?
Always. But not you. Check on Isabel. Make sure she eases up on the breach. I don't feel like getting buried alive today.
Roger that.
Remember, Dusty, keep your breathing steady. And never take that helmet off down here. Oxygen processes don't extend this far.
Yeah, because God forbid we drill on a rock with breathable atmosphere.
Know what I love about working in Freestyle Collective space? Fewer regs. A job like this at the United Colonies? Huh. Look at this one over here. Calvert! No! No. It's a laser.
That's the spot. As fast as the game lets you.
Yeah. Oh, wow. You've finished the coordinate way quicker than my potato PC.
You think we'll be done here soon? I'm busy. What else to bother?
He's so annoying. Always like comments about bothering him, even though you're just walking past, minding your own business.
Oh, the one miner.
Yeah.
I remember.
My PC has a 5090
Look at you.
and a pretty
Showing some
decent
initiative.
CPU.
Come on, let's check it
Yeah, I've
out.
been developing Starfield on a 486 Pentium. Actually, that's two completely separate things. This thing's almost 10 years old.
I'm also playing
This is
in
my
4K, but I think the stream
yeah,
is only in 1080.
Yeah, I can't do 4K on this one. This is my Emberlight system. The original development system also died before we were launching Emberlight back in 2018. So this system was already old when I purchased it. So this is almost a 10-year-old system. An MSI, whatever this is for the specs.
Dusty, snap out of it.
Are the audio levels sound decent for people watching?
Hey, come on.
With like
Come
the
on.
voice
Okay,
and
take it
game audio?
You were out cold. No physical damage. Mentally, the jury's still out. You know who you are? New recruit for Argos Extractors? Ring any bells? Any of this look familiar?
Sounds like you need to turn the game up a little bit.
Let's see if that's alright. Speed run through the character creation. Check out what the good hairstyles are. Would be a good background.
Well, let's see. Oh, background, whatever.
Space
Whatever you
scoundrel.
like. Yeah, sure. Yeah, that seems good. Oh, you want to go and do a little bit of piracy and stuff? Yeah. I think a lot of folks would enjoy that. I would definitely try Serpent's Embrace. I think that may do something in StarSim Beyond Space. I don't know what it would do. Maybe we'll do a little bit of exploring to see what it did.
Might as well be one tip as well.
Sure.
Almost forgot about your application. The one note I had on your file was troublemaker. Well, you got the sample. Client's on his way. Then we all get paid.
Oh, this whole
Do you
section.
remember anything that happened?
I'm sorry I'm pulling everybody through this. I'm sure every single person in here has seen this
Well, you
way
passed
too many
out, that's for
times.
sure. Everything else?
We're almost done.
Probably just your brain.
Just got to do a little
playing
bit of more
tricks.
dialogue,
Either
fight
way,
some Crimson
we got
Fleet,
what we were looking
take
for.
off.
All this
And then we can
trouble
start
for that
really
stupid thing?
showcasing. I think once you see
What
the
I'm looking
beginning
for.
here, and I'm sure folks that have already
Never
started
mind what
using
it looks
StarSim,
like.
you'll see that we kind of
More
began
than
the
his mind
process
pulled him
of
all month.
completely interlinking StarSim into the tutorial.
Speak of the devil.
We were of differing opinions on how far that needed to go, mainly because of our backgrounds. So my background is I play space sims equally to Bethesda games for 20 plus years. So my favorite space sim is X3, the whole series of X3. They've done a whole bunch of them over 10, 15 years. I've personally found when they went to X Rebirth and X4 Foundations, it became too big. And I think there was something with
You're just too young to know
the
better.
gate network that they had that made it more attainable. Now, where I felt X3 kind of fell apart was there was no tutorials. You had a flight tutorial thing if you wanted to, that's it. So you were literally thrown into the deep end. And it's a tough point because some folks really like that. They want to just figure the things out. And if you start putting too much stuff in to direct all aspects of it, it hurts that flow. And so we try to find that happy medium of going through and showcasing the flow of a tutorial, but letting you explore the way you want. And so that's why it's a tough one right now in solving some of these problems, right? It's the tutorial right now will move you from Vectera to Crete using the gates. Literally, we'll be showing pretty soon. The gate is aliased. It will be an objective. You will see it as an objective. It will direct you through the gate itself. You quickly learn you just need to fly through a gate. There's no special functions for that kind of stuff. But whether or not we then go through and do the same thing for all the gates to Jemison, that's where we have differing views. My stance on it is that exploration is something a lot of people like to do. In fact, it is the core of Starfield. It's what they're trying to convey. Constellation is exploration. It's going into the unknown, not being told where you need to go. And so we get you to the point where the network map is being shown. And from there, just explore. You don't need an endpoint. You are you want to aim towards Jemison, fine. That's perfectly fine. But maybe you detour a little bit as you're trying to find your route there. And I think that aspect of it, you're still following Protocol, Indigo, and all that stuff. It's stuff that Bethesda and I went back and forth quite a bit. You're trying to find the route to get to Jemison. Now, in the process of trying to find the route, you may end up passing other content along the way. And I think this is the most important part, and you're going to see this kind of play out a bit as Zyla's playing through. You follow the flow of Starfield as it is, and it's set up so that you're jumping from Vectera to Crete and from Crete to Jemison. You have literally no other choices. The game is coded to not let you go anywhere else. It blocks fast travel everywhere else. That's not the case anymore. Instead of that 30-minute process, you have the ability now to travel where you feel like. And so when we had QA testers coming in here and they were testing things out, a new game now is running 10, 15, 20 hours before they arrive at Jemison because they're still working their way towards Jemison, but they're landing into Hopetown, which is right next to Crete on the path you would normally take to get to Jemison. They're grabbing quests from Hopetown, which themselves send you over to, I think it's Neon. As you're traveling to Neon, because they want to just investigate that as a slight detour when they're working towards Jemison, they hit Aquila, they get sucked into the Freestar Rangers storyline with the whole bank robbery thing. And this aspect of it is something that we felt was missing in Starfield completely. You don't have that in-between. And without that in-between, you don't have this ability for things to happen in between to kind of divert your attention. I think for anybody who's a Bethesda fan, I don't think there's anybody who's played a Bethesda game that had a destination for a quest and arrived at that destination and didn't have 15 other quests in their log. It's basically almost impossible with the way they've designed these games. So that's the part that I think we are trying to do here. And, you know, is that the bodies?
Yeah.
Or is that birds? Oh my, that was funny. I thought that was birds. There's a few things in chat. Let me go.
That was
As we talked about a bit earlier, could you make a quest protocol into it? That quest marks the specific gates to get to Alpha Centauri. It could also act as... Well, I think that's what we're going to do anyway. I don't think we need a separate quest for it. I think what we're going to do here is just alias the gates. Sarah and I have had this conversation before, and I think 100% we're going to do that. Provide the options to go and travel how you feel like it. You don't have to follow those gates yourself, but we still will alias the gates, so it directs you completely from Crete to Jemison, and do the... I think where that actually makes more sense, ignoring Protocol Indigo, I think what we're seeing a lot right now is folks that are starting in New Game Plus, you're at the bottom end, literally the bottom end of the entire map. I'll actually, for the folks that are in, let me see here, in our Discord. So I just linked this is the development spreadsheet that we used when we built the entire map. So you can see if anybody loads this up on their own. It's not just a grid, like it's design, right? So the problem you have right now is you can't just go in a certain direction. It's not like there's orbits next to each other. There's spacing in this that's intentionally designed to make different pathways, to make the lanes, so to speak. And the lanes are intentionally bottlenecks that can be impacted by the simulation or by what the player does. Prime example of this, and is actually something that Eli has talked about and he can't wait to do. You can partially do this now, but it's going to really shine if you want to go down more of the economy route. It still plays out now, but it's tougher. It'll be easier, for instance, if you have Watchtower and you have your fleet hanging in there and stuff like that. But Altair 2 sits between the quote-unquote neutral zone between UC and free star space. The light blue is your UC main area, and the light green is free star. Now, if you blockade Altair 2, this is going to cause a major impact to the entire economy, which is going to force freighters to have to go and take alternate routes. They're going to have to go, say, south through more dangerous territory. There's lots of spacers and stuff. Or north out of Crete, where you're going to be hit by spacers and Crimson Fleet. This is opportunity, right? You could fleet block up Altair 2, which then causes the ships to have to take alternate routes. Then if you're playing as a pirate, you're going to have all these ships coming through Ursa Minor 1 and 2, or going through the south area. There's no escort, or maybe, normally not, to easily pirate them and make a fortune off of that stuff from your direct actions. So this is the parts we're trying to do here. Now, going back to what we were discussing with New Game Plus, the problem right now is that folks are starting at the bottom right of the entire map, Beta Turnian 1. Now, we did this on purpose because we wanted to have a really cinematic scene. You're sitting there, you're like, okay, I came back as a Starborn. What is going on? There's shooting going on with turrets. There's stupid bat things that are flying about. I hate those things. And then my Guardian is coming down and landing right behind me. So it's made to be more cinematic. And then you're sort of left in the deep end. You just woke up from being a Starborn. Versus in the base game, you just kind of start in space above Vectera. And it's like you're already in a ship. And then you're suddenly being sent to Jemison. So this is meant to be kind of, you've played the game a while, you've leveled up a lot, you got all these Starborn powers, you're very powerful, and you're starting in the deep end right off the bat. You're right next to, effectively, the main Spacer clan in Turnian and Lil, those areas there. And you're having to trek all the way to Jemison because the game requires it. Now, this is another area where I think we're going to definitely have to go through and add aliasing, because you're traveling a very long distance through that part there. So I think those two tweaks are all we really need at a baseline, and we need to update the tutorials to understand specifics.
We will need to disable their shields.
About the my stream just stopped. Weird. Specifics about how to use the functions, right? So let's continue the tutorial right now, since Xyla's tearing apart these Crimson Fleet. Did you already do both fights? Because mine just stopped.
That was just the first one.
Okay. Because we can showcase right now, very quickly, some of the core ways we changed the space features in a second once the other one shows up. lots of waiting.
Takes its time.
It always does. There you go. Get him.
Where's he going?
Yeah, I'm thinking about that a bit too. Way to state the layout makes a lot more sense after seeing the map. I think what we're going to do here is, it's fighting the core of me, but we got to make this a little more accessible. I love the unknown, but maybe having a game option that says the map is completely shown, as opposed to opening it from traveling itself. This way, it's easier for you to open the map. I can justify it in my brain, and in my brain, I'm like, well, there's star maps that you probably would have built into the ship computer, and so technically speaking, maybe we only show, I don't know, the settled systems parts, and then we leave the unclaimed parts empty, and we have a game option saying show entire map versus show civilized areas, settled areas, versus keeping it the way it is. I think that would work fine. I think as we also go through and get more of the modules in, X4 had that way of sitting in a hyperlane and flying around a chunk. I think buying is fun. That's the key part right there. I think that's also something where, okay, well, for a moment here. So, all right, before you go through the gate, turn your ship scanner back on a bit. I just want to emphasize, this is a major part. This is the first of enhancements to the functionality that Starfield already had, right? So rarely would you use the ship scanner in base Starfield. It's situationally used to find something, but you don't have enough stuff in space typically that you need to use this often. It's probably going to be used, I would think, in finding loot after you blew up a whole bunch of ships maybe, but that's few and far between. So one of the things I would emphasize here is what the ship scanner already did in Starfield, but is amplified in what we're doing in StarSim. So two things shown. Obviously, when you're looking right now, technically speaking, every gate is a ship. It's just the way the targeting system works. Now, what we basically, or actually, I guess it would be technically a station based on what I'm seeing on the HUD right now. If you recall in vanilla Starfield, there's diamonds on stations, and then there's the little triangle thing for ships whenever you're scanning an area to kind of pinpoint where stuff is at. We changed the HUD to have the, I know what you're seeing at the gate right now, the little brackets, to make it so it's not like diamonds all over the screen. And then if you can pan across the orbit you're currently in a little bit. So we don't have a lot because it was affecting performance a bit, but obviously this is an asteroid field now. It's not typically an asteroid field in standard Starfield. There's a mine already right over there. Now, I want to emphasize something with the mine. That mine is producing. It is always producing. It's creating whatever the recipes are that are embedded into that station itself. And eventually, that stuff is actively being moved by freighters. So we, in essence, generated an entire constructible object system that the stations are using. We call them products. They have a list of products that they are generating, and there's a list of products for what they need to work. You have base stations, like the mine, farm, stuff like that, that have no resources to function because they're the bottom of the entire economy food chain. They're producing all the time. Freighters are then moving those goods into intermediate stations or final product stations to let the economy work. Now, why does this matter? You can't interact, you can't land on that mine right now. Why it matters is because this is the core of the simulation itself. The economy drives everything. The militaries are protecting their economies, and the pirates are trying to blow everything up to screw up everything that's running here and creating chaos. It's when chaos occurs that creates content that you're going to be able to run into. And we don't know where it's going to happen. There's hotspots. Crete, which we're going to in a second, is absolutely a hotspot if you're looking at the map in terms of it's a border territory right next to where Spacers and Crimson Fleet are likely to attack often. But this can happen anywhere. Now, where does this help the player, right? Okay, so going back to the example before, you can blockade somewhere and mess the entire economy up. this is going to create a whole bunch of changes all over the place. And in special situations, it will incentivize certain locations that the Crimson Fleet or Spacers or whoever are going to prioritize to attack, because they see a whole bunch of freighters going somewhere, so that is a better target. So your actions directly do that kind of stuff. Yeah, you're going through the scanner right now. So obviously you also saw that the mining station that Argos had on the planet itself. So if we go back to the planet again too, because this is something I actually learned later when I was playing Starfield. I never knew this was a thing. So as long as there's only a single point of interest and they're not stacked, because the stacking acts weird in the engine, you can just land. You don't need to bring up the planet screen at all. So this is already stuff that already existed. As long as there's POIs on there, the scanner will show every POI that exists on a planet. You can do a quick scan when you're in certain orbits, see all the various stations, see all the stuff that's there. If there happens to be hidden stuff, we intentionally hide the hidden stuff from the HUD until you're within sensor distance, which typically is 2 kilometers. So there's an incentivized aspect of this whole thing to explore outside of the 20-kilometer area around the gates. We consider the 20 kilometers as the economy area. And then we do tend to hide things intentionally outside of that point. We will always leave breadcrumbs. I do not like in some other games where you just had to hope in space that you went in the right direction of nothingness to find some random ship. There's always breadcrumbs that will lead you to anything that we've hidden in the various orbits. Or we scream that there's something in a certain orbit in certain ones which you guys will find. Be careful. We have some very interesting events that can happen in certain places that if you're not ready, it's not good. Yet continue on through the gate now. So we can show that the gate itself was selected as an objective. And then just from there, we can just do the creep part. Pretty straightforward. Let me see a few things. Yeah, it's so... Yeah, it sounds like a big improvement. Narratively, it didn't make sense to me that none of the map was filled out. Having a partial map is the perfect middle ground. Agreed. We're pretty much locking that in. That'll be changed. Do you think you could tie into the way we sell scanner data? Like if we go on an uncharted route, we could chart it. Yeah, we're going to be doing that. So it's not something right now because you can't get to the stations. What I would like to do, the vision, it's not implemented yet, but we're going to definitely fix up that message box as well. More stuff when you go to the station. So one of the biggest things, and I'm sure folks have followed the development of this over time and kind of how we do stuff with Mining Conglomerate. You land at a station, the terminal pops up and gives you full access to everything you need on that station. That's what we have partially built into StarSim, and what we'll be doing a lot of when we get to the economy module and the war module. What I'd like to see in that is elements I've seen in other space sims, right? So you have, that's a lot of tour ships right there that decided to spawn. Must be a hotspot. I don't know why Crete would be considered a hotspot. It's a moon. So yeah, you would have the ability to go to certain stations and there'd be sort of a comms. Now, we tested some stuff on trying to get dialogue while you're still seated in the ship, and it's clunky. So it could be a situation where it's just more of a chat-based thing where you're talking to somebody through a text-based interface. And some people are looking to buy uncharted route data. Some people are trying to buy asteroid data where you went through and scanned a bunch of asteroids in an orbit to get their yields, and you're selling them off for money and stuff like that. There's a lot of different directions we'll go so that you can role play whatever you want to be within here. You can already do that in some segments right now at the core. And then depending on how you want to play your characters, you would add the modules that gives you those abilities to do that. You don't need all of them. So if you're looking to go into StarSim and you want to be a mining conglomerate, that's all you need is the economy module. We don't have a full name locked in for that. That's all you need. You don't need the autopilot functionality. You don't need the war-based functionality. You just get the one for whatever it's going to be, which is going to be a lot less than what is the core we have right now, the Beyond Space. And then boom, you can go through and set up a headquarters. You can go through and run your corporation. You can set your corporation to be a mining company, and then it'll automatically be sending out assigned ships to go out and mine at asteroids. You can say, focus on these types of orbits because I've gone and scanned them and found out that they're very high yield in resources that are expensive and makes me a lot of money. I can get some security set up to protect those when they're doing their different stuff. Like, that's what we're going to, and you only need that module to add that functionality. If you're in here to go, like I love to do, to make big explosions and large fleet battles, you go towards the war module where UC and Freestar could end up in war with each other if the relations collapses. House Faroon ends up going and doing war stuff with people because they just want to do that to start another Serpent's Crusade. And so you have these actual fleets moving at all times, attacking and taking over certain orbits temporarily, as a direct mechanic within the game itself. Now, again, if the combat is nothing that interests you, you just skip that altogether and you're perfectly fine. You can go and basically build your perfect space. That's our end goal with this whole thing.
Did it land on the planet we were talking
Yes.
about?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, just, again, we're in the tutorial. Just knock that out. Piece of cake.
I'll follow you from here on out to get
Animosity. What about load order? Where to place the mod, especially alongside other mods? It should be at the top of the creations page. I believe we have a thing on there. It's got to be near the bottom of your load order. It doesn't seem to work. Mining Gilbert had some of the similar problems as well. I don't know if it's a space thing, but it needs to be at the bottom of your load order. I think Tennessee did a bunch of tests, and you can put it above some types of mods like interface and stuff like that if they're asset only. But for whatever reason, maybe it's because of just how intricate the code is for this, you've got to have it near the bottom. It's just weird stuff with the engine. In terms of mining, it shouldn't make a difference for either of those two. Like, there's nothing interconnecting between Beyond Space and Mining Conglomerate right now, at least. Yeah, well, that's the thing. When everything's all said and done, and I don't see there even being all said and done. I see us being on StarSim, the overall StarSim, years, many years, because I see this being approached no differently than all the major 4 space sims. They're 8 to 14 years old. They don't do sequels. They keep finding new things because space is so large. That's our approach. It's not about, I'm only going to get StarSim when it's feature complete. I don't see space sims ever being feature complete. I think the only time that these companies make a new space sim is because their engine's outdated. That's it. Starfield's engine, surprisingly, is working fantastic for what we're trying to do. So the rest of it's more, what cool things can the player do? And I think that's going to be, we have ideas for the stuff that we're looking for, but it's the community in all 4 of those games that's driving those features. So that's really what's going to happen here. Each of these modules will be separate. You can add them in if you feel that they are something that interests you for the way space is going to work. We're not out to nickel and dime. It's about very large updates that add substantial features in each one of them, or maybe it's a really long storyline that hooks into the network and everything we're doing. There's going to be rapid development right now to get to what we feel is the foundation of being a competitor to those 4. I don't think what we have right now at Beyond Space is a foundation to solve problems with Starfield that we perceive. And I think we've done that. We just need to kind of tighten up the presentation for it. Now our goal is tighten this up to be a proper literal competitor to those 4 games. I want Starfield plus StarSim to beat the 4 space sims that are out right now. I can't do multiplayer. I can't do seamless landing like No Man's Sky, but I do think with what the engine can do, we can meet and exceed the 4 space sims that exist right now, and that's my goal with this, and as long as it takes to get to that point. And with direction from the community for what they want. Codename, is there a roadmap for the modules? Nothing yet. We're keeping it kind of open-ended right now to see what is the easiest to build and has the most impact. Likely that is autopilot. It's been the most requested. It generally works, but it's more presentation needs to be way better. The terminals leave a lot to be desired, so we're trying to find better ways to present a lot of that stuff and make sure all the functionality works to the standards we need it to work. And especially now, we have to make it so that you can get the autopilot module without Beyond Space installed. And we got to make sure that that works in vanilla Starfield completely, and then gets enhanced if Beyond Space is installed to give you access to the gate network, things like that. So when we have a clear idea of where we are with that, we'll probably do a roadmap somewhat by then. But the only problem with the roadmaps is we have no control over the QA process, right? So when we submit something, as I'm sure folks are aware, it can take quite a bit of time before things are approved. So we're never going to establish a timeline because we have no control over that process. We can just submit something and then it's out of our hands, including the length of time before it launches. So the best we can do is basically look at, here's our vision for the kind of things we're going to be building in the intermediate, and then that's basically it. But likely it's autopilot ship computer. We have some cool concepts right now on getting radio stations in space, so you can basically just joyride around the whole network and listen to cool music. Then we're going to really get the economy side going because it's the next most requested. So you can start running corporations, and then we're going to go and get the combat, the war functionality in. And I think those three are the core we're trying to get through as rapidly as possible. And then we're going to be an open book from that point forward. We have a neat concept with narrative. Oh. Your health is low. Would stuff like Ascension Starvival still work, do you think? It seems so. I think there's some conflicts that somebody brought up with Starvival. It's a tough one, because we're testing what we can test, but we can only test so many things, so we need that input, and then we're kind of putting fires out as we know that there are fires. Ideally, we're looking to patch StarSim directly to minimize the need for patches, so just keep it internal to StarSim versus others needing to change their stuff as much as we're able to. Growth is 98, so watching this has really made it a whole lot clearer. I think the only polish that is needed is UX. I agree. I mean, it's going to be just iron out the last bit. It's surprisingly stable. It's still blowing us away that this is working as it is with how much code and what's happening in Papyrus. Has been quite a feat. So I think it's just ironing some things out. There's 3 bugs we're going to be clearing out. We already did a few fixes already in the internal 1.09 build. And then a lot of it's going to be sort of compatibility changes, the quest fixes we talked about to get the gates as objectives and stuff like that. And then if we can get that game settings in there to control what the map shows, I think those are definitely going to be in 1.09. Exactly, and I feel Starfield is probably the best foundation for building upon. So, that's our point. I think this was an opportunity, right? So I think space wasn't to the standards of what folks were looking for, and it gave us a pretty much clean foundation. It changed 3 or 4 things, and then there was nothing in space anywhere, period, and we build off of that. So I think having that ability to do that means it's an open book to build everything out. There's some limitations. We've had to gut at least half of the stations because performance didn't handle. The FPS dropped too much. There's a certain limit to the amount of total ships before things get a bit wonky in the whole engine and stuff like that. So those are being managed. We basically in StarSim make it so that we suffer depending on your load order. So if a lot of other script heavy things are running, we slow down or shut off to let things keep being as smooth as possible in Starfield. And it'll go through and dynamically adjust amount of ships, what's being simulated, how quickly is it simulating, how quickly is it initializing, things like that as you're progressing. Would it be possible to make it so you can scan planets seamlessly without opening the menu, or like it was in Elite Dangerous? No. Well, you know, I want to reflexively say no because of, you know, that a lot of things are hard coded into the engine. The problem in space versus everywhere else in the game is that space's interface is one gigantic thing. It's not parts. So, like, for instance, and this has been a big problem that we ran into early in Mighty Conglomerate, when you're landed and you're running around, that's one file for your HUD. When you turn the scanner on, that's a separate HUD. That's not the case in space. Like when you're scanning on a planet to look for traits and POIs and stuff like that, it's just one gigantic thing that has internal events to move between them. But because they did it that way, our hooks to detect that you turn the ship scanner on or you're, you know, stuff like that is impossible. There's no way to detect that in our access. So you're fairly limited to make drastic changes to the space HUD with the way they designed the whole thing out. And without having the source files and scale form to do it, it makes it even harder. So I lean towards no, but we'll investigate to see, is it possible? I want to have no menus pop up. So if we don't need to bring that planet one up at all ever, fantastic. But it seems like that one, it's not the worst menu. I like the look of the planet, and picking stuff on there and stuff isn't bad. What I don't want is the absolute need to constantly get out of the pilot seat or constantly bring the menu up to do anything as much as we can. Would you be able to do something similar with stations and or space POIs, like in the creation of tiny reasons to explore space, like exterior mining locations, partially destroyed star stations, etc.? Well, I mean, in essence, that's already happening now. You just don't have internal access to them yet. Now, there's a warning here, right? So we've been involved quite a bit with a lot of the performance problems in Starfield. There's obviously, most folks know the ref handle problem, which StarSim uses 97,000. That's it. Never fluctuates much at all from 97,000. So it's not a huge culprit on those type of issues. But when you start doing interiors for stations and a lot more stuff like that, you start to ramp up the ref handle cost. It's why we haven't done interiors for the capital ships and the stations, even if they were accessible right now. They're expensive, and you suddenly start getting that ref handle limit. So until the engine is fixed, it's likely we'll never have very intricate interiors for all the stations. But so desiccated food particles. StarSim kind of ends at the ship. We're not looking to really do a lot of stuff where you're getting out of the ship. That's outside the scope of what we're doing. So we're simulating space. We're simulating you as a ship, in essence. We intentionally go and make it so that when you dock at a station, like in Mighty Conglomerate, a terminal pops up and everything you need to do is right there. Because in early tests, if you're getting out of the ship and you're having to run around to find a vendor or running around to find this person, it slows the process down if you're playing as a freighter or whatever, where you have to constantly do this each time to do a transaction. Whereas right now, when you just dock, a terminal pops up, you can transact, you can undock and go on to your next place. It speeds the whole flow of the game up quite a bit by doing it that way. So I think when it comes to exploring space, it's going to be the orbits themselves, the neat stuff we can design into each of the orbits for you to explore internal to the orbit itself, and when you explore the network and you find kind of on the periphery the interesting designs we did in certain orbits. About to take off. Nice. I'll shut up now. We're about to get into the full
Captain,
everything.
to reach the lodge, we must jump to the planet Jemison in the Alpha Centauri system, and then land in the city of New Atlantis. And don't worry, this will all become second nature before too long.
Perfect. So right off the bat, cruise mode goes active now. Typically, you don't get access to cruise mode until you arrive, I think it's into Jemison, and you finish the lodge. So you have access to all navigation now to go based on what you want. Now, do you have the quest active? Let's see the objectives. Okay, so this already shows right now the way we've integrated StarSim, right? So you go through the eastern gate to get to Crete. That already shows you gate travel. Now, Xylo's going to run through now and do the navigation table. Now, this has a slight bug we're fixing in 1.09 where you have to toggle it twice. It's a remnant of some of the stuff we had in before. So it'll take a moment for the map to load up. There you go, they're popping in. 2 hubs. Narian Star decided to join in for reasons. VoD Alpha, Crete, Aquila, and the map should be good. Yep, there's your 4 hubs, plus the Star decided to join the show. Now talk about it again once, because that'll just at least move the quest forward, and then we'll break down the map. I think this is a big one that a lot of folks need more input on, so we'll just do a complete deep dive. Cool, and we'll go expand these out too here, but when it comes back up, let's just break this down so everything is clear what this network map is conveying. So its network map is visual. It has no functionality right now. It's entirely for you to look at this, like you bring up the sector map in X3, to visually give you an idea where you need to go. Now, how do you read this? So if you can highlight Crete. All right, cool. So when you highlight Crete, you can see that you started in Vectera. There was only one gate to leave it by design, east, to get into Crete. Crete has 4 gates, north, south, east, and west, as the directions you can go. Now, right now the objective is to get to Jemison. So if you can highlight Jemison, here's Jemison. So when I'm looking at this map, there's your 2D grid. The highlighted orbit is where you're currently at. And when I'm viewing this, I'm looking and saying, all right, so I need to go south 1 into the same row where Jemison is and just beeline west. Now, with the cues from the base game itself, how can you determine direction? So if you can get out of well, leave the map running. This runs in the background. You can just keep it running. It'll dynamically update. So if you go back to the pilot seat real quick. All right, so that gate, which gate is that one in front of us? That should be, it's north. All right, and then turn left, straight, and that should be Crete. Or Vectera, right. And then going to the left should be Polvo. Yep. And then left from that should be, was it Nox or something? I don't know. Cantra, yeah. So generally speaking, and it's not a perfect science, but the planet will always, when you first arrive in an orbit, end up basically at north with the way they have the positioning of the planets respective to the orbits themselves. Now, the orbits do orbit if you sit within the orbit for a while it's loaded. So technically speaking, this orbit stayed loaded while Xylo landed on the planet, which is why when you go back around, the planet is kind of shifted a bit. But generally speaking, I should expect the planet close to or right around Ursa Minor 1. That is the north gate out of here. So when you're looking at the orbits, from a positional standpoint, look for the planet. Now you have your reference point for north. And then you use the map to get an idea of where you need to go, to kind of plot in your head the general direction you need to go. So in this case here right now, I know the planet is north if I didn't even bother looking at the map itself. And I got to head south, at least south 1 and west to get over to Jemison. So south would be Polvo, the opposite of where the planet is. So let's shoot on through there and see what we have on the other side. And then obviously the SSNN reporter is unintelligible chatter. So that's an important aspect. Yes, the planet will always be north when you first arrive. So you should expect when you're going through the network, if you come in through the east gate, the planet should be to your right. If you come in from the west gate, it should be to your left. South gate, you should be expecting the planet directly in front of you. And north gate, it should be behind you. If you sit in the orbit for a while, or you land on the planet, the engine never unloads the space orbit. So when you come back, right, you came through the south gate, and now you're looking straight ahead at hold on, brain. You came through the south gate, so you're at the north gate. All right. So the engine is proving me wrong here in this one situation, because the oh wait, hold on. What gate are you at right now? The gate behind you should be Crete, right?
The ship isn't black.
Oh, and of course the quest target system now has gone active. Hilarious. Which makes sense that technically the shortest route is going through undisclosed territories to get over to Jemison, so it's not wrong. That quest target system is dynamic. It's trying to understand the paths based on the quest you have active right now, but it needs a lot of data for that to actually work, so it doesn't always show up as a way to show the route you need to take. Alright, so maybe not all the time the planet is north, because it seems like in this case the planet decided to be south. So I'll take back that part. Apparently it's not aligning to what I've seen in other tests. So yeah, this is one of the things that I think what we're going to need to do also is name the gates. North gate, south gate, east gate, west gate. I think by doing that, which we've been discussing yesterday as well, that helps us as well to move everything forward. But going back with the network itself, so we're in Polvo, and this updates automatically while it's running in the background. So at this point, if I'm looking at the map, I can see that Polvo and Jemison are basically in line. And then you're able to basically go through and just kind of go west to get to Jemison. Now, this is another major aspect of what we're doing with StarSim Beyond Space. So if you can go back in the pilot seat and then just do a quick scan on Polvo, or the whole orbit. This is a pretty busy orbit, one of the hubs. So we already have a bunch of ships in here. There's a decent amount of security because it's one of the major star yards that are existent here. So you have a destroyer that's currently patrolling with its escort and things like that. And especially since Crete is going to get attacked quite often, being on the border, this usually is the group that tends to protect most of the attacks coming in. Now, the big thing on this planet is going to be Hopetown. So if you're able to go and land on Hopetown while you're in here. You may not, because I think it's two different. Yeah, you're going to open the map up. That's one of the things with the engine. Yeah, since Polvo Planet decided to prove me wrong after all the other tests we did. That's fine. We'll just put North Gate, South Gate, East Gate, West Gate on the names of the gates. In fact, that's kind of what a lot of other space sims have done anyway. I think it's absolutely necessary. So yeah, Silo, just hang out here in a minute, talk to some people. What cool stuff is in Hopetown? I've never played this game before, so I have no idea what Hopetown has here. I'm a new player. Pretty cool location I'm at here. Big old building. Robot. Go through the chat real quick here.
Been looking for you. Let's talk.
I don't want to hear any complaints.
So I saw on the Discord forum for bugs. I saw someone report the cruise mode POIs are not popping up. I spent some time cruising around Sol and Centauri, and I have not had any pop up either. We're going to investigate that because I know Sarah and I had them popping up pretty often. The in-between ones. So I don't know what's happening there. And that was with testing as well, because I know Bethesda QA also had them popping up. So I don't know, maybe it's another mod that is interfering with that possibly. Though the report we just had, the test was happening with only StarSim installed. So we'll investigate it and see what's going on. Because we've absolutely had like the incursions that happen where it pulls you out of autopilot in between has popped up for us. And the random POIs you'll see as you're traveling along an autopilot route were shown up for us as well. Shamble monkey. Okay, so straight off needs text on those if possible.
All right, Adela.
On the, you mean on the network map?
Oh God.
Needs text because if you highlight them, they'll show the orbits. There's no way for us to really project text since it's a 3D environment that we're doing for that map. So if you highlight each of those orbits, it's going to tell you what the orbit is.
And now I'm a hair away from being executed, or worse.
And I just think this Frontier should have a set old systems. We just talked about that before. Yeah, we're going to likely just have a game option on there, and you can just turn on a feature that says either show me the entire map, show me the settled systems only, or leave it the way the base game is.
We do bulk shipping.
I know it was north. Nah, actually, just found it wasn't. That one was south, so they lied to me.
Never had a standard boring job. Just
maybe you'll cover it. Did cover it, but how our jump range is handled right now, still the same. Yeah, we haven't changed those. Anything that was base game is identical. The only thing that really happens is the systems are hidden, and jumping to them is impossible until you explore at least one orbit within a system, and that unlocks it. But the distances and stuff like that are identical.
First shipment, slag steel, nothing special. As soon as I left Neon and got scanned, things got
agreed. I'd really like Barrett or Vasco to go, hey, here's a star map that gives you a route to follow. This also avoids locking everything to being quest markers.
Or sometimes just firing first.
Yeah,
it's
so.
And have been running ever since.
We were discussing this a bit, and I think this might help as well. I want to get the network map to be more interactive, right?
Oh, no.
So
I was just
you
for my life.
Open the network map up, and in this case here, let's say you're trying to find the route to Jemison. So you click Jemison.
It gets even worse.
And like build route, and then you would literally see the route pop up on the network map itself. And so this way it's more interactive. That could be something we could do to not just need objective quest markers every time to go and kind of direct you to places and stuff. There's definitely things we can do and make this a bit easier. I also one north navigation, but that's a good idea. We could do that.
Best.
I think kind of in combination to actually naming the gates correctly.
He's the one with the cowboy hat. Just stay safe. Thank you.
We'll be able to make the map viewable without leaving the pilot seat eventually. Not likely. With how the space HUD is set up, you can't really edit it. You can adjust like icons and stuff, but the way that they set the space HUD up, it's almost impossible to change it. Yeah, it's easier to say, all right, you go from Vectera east to Polo west to Narian south, extra, makes things a bit more... Right, and I think that's where if we name the gates, it'll be a lot easier to go and say, oh, that's the south gate, that's the west gate, that's the east gate, so it's blatantly there.
I'm new in town. You look like you just got here too, right? What's your name, stranger?
What kind of missions will come out of the ship factories, freighters, and orbit? There's no missions right now besides what's in the base game. So the base game will allow bounty missions and stuff like that, and they will go into our orbits and stuff, but there's no direct missions inside Beyond Space right now.
And I'm here for your bounty. Two ways this
likely the missions are going to be economic missions will come out with the economy module, and combat missions and private military stuff will come out with the war module. I like to
Looks
settle
like a place that
systems
doesn't
on
nice
the
and
option that
color.
would make sense as far
Or
as
you
known
can
space lanes.
surrender.
I agree.
Trank you up, deliver you, they kill you. Nobody ever picks that option.
I think we default it. We'll figure out what makes the most sense for the default setup and then kind of go from there.
Yeah. They never see me coming. But
So the economic missions from the
something
base
don't
game
sit
currently
right
do not
with
pop
me.
on your POIs.
Not sure
They
why.
should. Yeah, there should be no reason why they wouldn't. I think when Sarah's done quite a bit of testing on that stuff, and yeah, any of the mission board missions, they will hook up
Maybe.
to our orbits just as much they did before.
Maybe not.
In fact, they pull from our products
It's not easy.
automatically.
But I don't.
So
keep
when we
people
design
completely
the
going.
crates of the stuff that's made in each of the stations,
Yeah. Nothing about this adds up.
the
Alright,
actual
I'm taking
items
you.
being used
Well, that
were
tells
derived
me
off of
somebody
those.
else will.
So you'll see it situations
you're
where it's
shipping,
using
you
all
can
the new
have it
products
done.
we had to create to fill the economy
Its
out
tracker probably won't be as
in the
upstanding
quests you
as
would
I
take
thought.
for the shipping stuff. Oh no, what I'm saying here, so
Suit yourself.
basically when you dock at a
If you want
station,
to re-up your life
we have little
insurance
elements we're going to have that shows when a
One
station's
more
offering
drink,
missions,
and
and
it's
you get the
lethal.
missions directly in the same way that mining conglomerate works right now, where you go to the Argos HQ
Hello.
and there's a built-in mission board provided by Argos as a way for you to progress your status in the corporation. That's more what I mean. You basically will arrive in an orbit, and we're going to have indicators of certain stations offering missions for you.
This can't be
When you
right
dock at those
now.
stations, you can grab those missions.
I feel
And then
sick.
this is also a way for you to build up your reputation with different corporations. It gives you access to lots of stuff,
I
prototype
feel like
things.
I can finally breathe again.
So like if you go and
Thank
do
you.
missions that pop up on the Daimo Star Yard, they'll start giving you access to like prototype ships or weapons
You
and things like that.
think? I mean, of course they will.
That type of stuff will be within the economy module.
I don't mean to be
But anything in
ungrateful,
base game
I
we've not touched.
really,
Those
really
missions
need
in
to
the
go.
mission board are going to work exactly the
Thank you.
same.
One hopes the best thing that happened to
You
us.
talk to the shady person over there.
Keep an eye on your valuables. If you can't protect your own,
Yeah,
you don't belong here.
I'm pretty sure he's trying to get you to move contraband
I like
to
it here.
Tequila.
Very few rules.
Or neon.
People know how to look the other way. And so many strangers
Or so I've heard.
coming
I've
and
never done
going
this
all the
myself. I have
time.
no idea.
A good
I don't do
place
this stuff
for
for fun.
business. Do you agree? Discretion is a trait I highly value. I have a small package that needs
That is
delivery
the same
to
voice
Aquila
actor,
City.
yes.
I need someone discreet. Not too many questions. The package is contraband. If the authorities
Gotcha. So you're talking about the
find
station transporter
it
ship.
will
So
not be
that's
good.
still
If
a
your
work in
ship
progress
has space
because
for special
we have to
cargo,
basically build that system so that
heading
the
for
AI can use
security
it
will be
and
much
we can,
easier.
because there's a
Can you
chance that
handle
they
a
can
job
build
like
their own
this?
stations to supplement the economy. But in essence, it's basically just jettisoning stuff.
Deliver the
So
package to Tom's
if you can
Ferry.
carry laser
Just drop
towers
it off,
or
no discussion,
mines,
no
things like that,
questions.
you just jettison them and then
Do
they will
not get
activate
caught.
in proximity to your ship
Goodbye.
itself. For T4, the station transporters, if you have yeah, there you go. You can actually show off smuggling and sneaking through places now and how the contraband scans work. Very nice. Station transporters will be the same. You have a station prefab that you purchase from a star yard. You fly to a location you want to place the station itself, and then you jettison it, and it builds the station next to you. And then you own that station. Now, we've been at odds in how to approach a lot of that stuff, building that from scratch right now. My stance on it is I find that it's unwieldy to use terminals to try to manage hundreds of ships like you would in X3, X4. We don't have the ability to change the HUD necessary for that stuff. And so what I'm looking at here when we get into the either the economy module or the war module, both are kind of going to have very similar mechanics. You're more in a position to make the decisions, allowing you to go and just play the game. So you place a headquarters down, they're extremely expensive. You put your headquarters down, now you've established your corporation. What is instead station? Instead of, no. Yeah, no, we're not. It's likely we're not doing interiors for stations because of the major ref handle bugs. Right, yeah, no. So if the engine bug is fixed for the ref handles, we will reconsider our position on the interiors for stations and capital ships. But by us adding in, so for perspective, we were over 1 million ref handles until earlier this year. And that's just problems with the engine in terms of how costly it is to do pack-ins for the design of interiors of stations and the stations themselves. And you wouldn't be able to even play it because of that engine bug. That's well known in the community right now. So it would work the same as what we do for all other stations. Like in Mining Conglomerate, you dock at the headquarters, the terminal pops up, and then all functionality you need is interfaced in that terminal completely. So you don't have to go in. We do, like when you go into stations like with right now with Argos HQ and Mining Conglomerate, we have to let you get inside the station because boarding won't work. But it's just like a waiting area. That's it. So you'd have that. But all the functionality we're doing for StarSim, it's all going to be done through the terminal that pops up when you dock. So any way to manage your headquarters, to define, what is your corporation, what does it do, is all going to be in that terminal when you dock at a headquarters. It's everything. So ships and stations drastically hit it. We've conclusively proven with Bethesda. It was cool when you came in there. Remember, you have contraband on you too. You do not want to be scanned by security. Oh yeah, real quick here. So where's security at? You should find them like right now. Is that the security ships?
The militia.
That's militia. Yeah, they won't scan you. It's going to be literally called a security ship. You want to make sure you stay far away from it. You're not scanned by contraband just by arriving in an orbit by design, so you can smuggle easier. You have to find the security ship, and then the security ship has to get within 2 kilometers of you if it chooses you for its scan before it'll do the default method for contraband scans. So if you're smuggling something like Xyla is right now, you need to make sure you're always identifying where the security ships are and you stay far away from them so they can't scan you. There's tricks. You can quote-unquote station hop. If you dock at a station, they'll reset if they targeted you. And obviously a busier orbit, it's less likely you'll be selected for scans, but yeah, you want to keep moving. Going back to the ref handles, so ships and stations drastically hit it. Now we've identified new blueprint ships, basically. This resolves their impact to the ref handles, but all the pack-ins you need to make to do an interior for a station and an exterior drastically increase the ref handle amounts. And as it stands right now, we're already at the limits. So like, from your point with, I think, making at least the player one accessible, one station, just for the headquarters, may push StarSim out of the limits. Hey, Tennessee. How you doing? So we'll go through it, but it really, we need to have the ref handle problem solved on the engine level before we can do a lot of that stuff. Because, again, when we had a lot of this stuff in here before, we were using 1 million ref handles. So we cannot have that happen. More cars. So is that mission sending you to Aquila, I believe?
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's go south from Fallon.
Have you guys thought of blueprinting? Oh, we had to. We weren't even allowed to launch without blueprinting the ships. Without blueprinting the ships in StarSim, we use over 1 million ref handles. Blueprinting every ship and station brought it down to the 97,000 we're at right now. That's just blueprinting the ships. And we don't have many pack-ins in StarSim. But the point really is that it's not the ships and stations that would do it. It's the pack-ins we would have to create to then build the stations that are expensive. And they stay as ref handles forever, whether the station's placed or not. That's the problem. So a lot of the issues that folks are running into with Falklands and all that stuff, it's well designed, but the well-designed aspect of it is what is causing the ref handles to be a problem, because every single packet is loaded at load and just takes those ref handles up forever. They don't get unloaded. And then on top of that, when that thing is actually placed, then you're increasing with more ref handles. So, yeah, you're gonna need to sneak. Well, don't do the stealth right now. You're doing it my way, which is speed up and hope you get over there before the security ship picks you out. Yep. Well, maybe so if we built the stations completely from scratch, like utterly completely from scratch, then you basically gain the benefits of no ref handle impact. But that also means that you cannot use any pack-ins whatsoever to expedite the development of those things. So yes, if we literally had a clean slate to build a station and built it. In fact, this is what Bethesda did themselves for these exact reasons. Every single station that Bethesda built is done that way. They went into the shipbuilder and dropped down a docker. And it's like the only module you actually see if you look at their records. And then they hand built the whole thing. And they did this because they wanted to have the complete control over what the designs are for their stations. And also in doing so, you're getting close. You're in yep. Yeah, they did this for this exact same reasons. I'm sure they identified these problems early and they found that that would be easier. So yes, we could go through. Right, we can go through and basically build those stations by hand. It just takes longer to do that. But then you can fine tune and get the design exactly the way you want. And then that would get around the ref handles problem because you're doing everything by hand. Then you're blueprinting the station so that the impact on the ref handles is basically brought down to effectively nothing. So yeah, we want interiors where the interiors make sense, doesn't slow down the flow of the entire game. So we're going to be absolutely digging into it. It's more time. In a very small team, we got to pick our battles in terms of what we're developing. We don't have the resources like Bethesda, so somebody assigned to doing that is doing that in lieu of something else that we do need to develop. So it's just a priority thing. Designing out the interiors of stations takes a very long time, and so we're gonna have to juggle all this stuff to find the best things to do for each of these. Likely when, like, say, the economy module comes out, the stations are going to work exactly the way they work in, like, Mining Conglomerate, because that's the quickest way to interact with them for most players. We're not really able to. We'll cross that bridge in the future, but it creates legalities that we'd have to deal with if we were having volunteers building stuff and everything. I'd rather compensate folks for work that they're doing because folks are doing great work. We'll see. I want interiors, so we'll work towards doing interiors. I'd love to see interiors on every ship and every station if we could do it, like capital ships. What I'd love to see, and this is something actually as a segue to this, I would love it where you can disable a capital ship, board it, and you and a whole bunch of Marines are trying to clear out hundreds of NPCs that are the crew. It's something that, you know, when you board in, like, say, X3, it's just like a little mini game play in the background. So us being able to design out these really interesting designs for the capital ships, and then you're sitting there fighting through all these different people to get control of the bridge and take that entire ship over. So it's on the agenda. We got to Aquila. Let's head on down to the city. Gotta line it just right. Oh. Nah, I'll let you today. You tried. It gets finicky. You have to, like, position when you're trying to land on those planet POIs. It's got to be, like, exactly perfectly in the center at times. It's a pain. Could be too. Yeah, maybe the ship was deciding to go. Well, but that would be when the contraband scan is actively occurring, and there was definitely not a. It'll pop up exactly the same as a normal contraband scan. From the player perspective, a station that I can interact with makes a lot more impact. I agree. Well, but it would be in stages, right? Like, if you're able to interact with the station by docking at it and then having the functionality pop up, nicer in Aquila, to do everything on it, I think getting to that as our first priority is what we need to work towards first. And then we are in parallel investigating whether we can do an actual interior to the station, because it works both ways. I think somebody's, like I said before, if they're being a freighter and they're constantly doing trades, getting into a station over and over again slows things down, because now you're going through multiple load screens and traveling around what could be an intricate design for a station to find somebody to do stuff. I think that does work for some people, but if you're playing this in space as a freighter, it drastically slows down you attempting to do a lot of different actions that are repetitive. So it'd be one of those things where...
Does Aquila scan you, like, in person, like Jemison does?
They will... Well, they'll never... I don't think they ever scan for contraband. I think they scan for bounties when you're landed. I think you only get scanned by contraband in space.
Marshal Daniel Blake, I need to inform you, we've got some trouble at Gal Bank.
Right. This is the beginning of the Rangers storyline.
If you think you might be able to help out, you could talk to the Marshal. Truth is...
Anyway, what I was saying before was, I think what we do here is you have the terminal always, and then if we do the interiors, we'll add NPCs in there that can be interacted with, that can handle certain parts of what the terminal's also doing. So you can choose kind of how you want to do it, as long as the ref handle situation gets figured out. Taxis, can we ride them? It's on the agenda for folks that don't want to deal with space and they just want to kind of go from place to place. You can just hop on the taxis and get around to most places without needing your ship. I think, I recall there was a creation made that kind of did the courier stuff like that as well, and people seem to enjoy that. So we've had people we've talked to that said they don't really care about space, don't want to deal with building a ship, don't want to necessarily captain a ship. But if they had some way to, like the carriage in Skyrim or the vertibird in Fallout 4, they can just get you to places, that would be fine. So we'll investigate.
Sure as hell welcome to try. Some folks from the Shaw gang tried to rob the place, but they got spotted by a guard.
So I've noticed,
they took everyone inside
like in Altair, some planets don't have a gate network. Does that mean we have to travel there the traditional way? I mean, I assume we want to. Yes. So we put a lot of gates in settled systems, more for the simulation and the economy to work, to spread out stations, since we can only fit 4 to 5 per orbit before the FPS plummets. And so we had to basically space the stations out a lot more. When you get into other kind of unclaimed, undiscovered systems, you may only see 1 or 2 network orbits. So that's pretty standard. We were required to have a network orbit in every system, because at the time that we were in discussions with Bethesda, we had a requirement for needing fuel to
Find
do
out what
travel.
they want.
And what they didn't want to have happen is for you to get stranded somewhere and have no ability to leave a system. So at least by having a network orbit in every system, you can cruise mode or far travel to that network orbit and then use the gate network to get back to get helium-3 if you were using real fuel or we had a mechanism like that. So every system is accounted for, including if you have shattered space installed. We will hook in dynamically the Veronkai system.
Well, ain't you polite? So tell me,
There is a mod, so the icons don't stack and always land from scanner. Does that work without anything like the script extender? Because we would probably want to investigate that and get that in there. That's been a gripe for a while now, where it's I don't want to have to bring that planet menu up if we don't have to.
They talk too damn much. Complain about everything. But as much as we'd like to, none of us has shot one yet. Got a real attitude problem, don't you? Well, you better listen up. We want to guarantee a safe passage to the spaceport and a ship. We'll drop the hostages off somewhere safe in the system. After that, we'll radio back where they are, and the Marshal and his crew can come and get them. But if anybody follows us when we break orbit, we start shooting people. Got it? Then persuade the Marshal that it ain't. This whole damn job's gone wrong. It was supposed to be just a quick hit. Clean and simple, you know?
Let's see, I already talked about the taxi thing. You can run a taxi company also in the future, as well as riding them yourself. So if you want to do like taxi service, it's the concept is basically like almost like Railroad Tycoon. We have passengers and parcels built up on hubs, and then you would go and pick them up, and you know, depending on the route, how far it is, determines what your cut is for each of the passenger movements, things like that.
I know. Not
I
disagreeing.
might, as a suggestion, use the station by free lanes, update as a headquarters, and instead expand on that station. Like Anchor Point. Yeah. Well, I honestly, I think we could probably do that maybe. And we were dabbling with that a while back also with, you know, there'd be the orbital support station, and there'd be a business center within it that would hold smaller companies to have a headquarters accessible without needing a big station for it. So we could definitely do that and do Anchor Point as like when you're first becoming a corporation. You don't need a huge station, you just need like an office, and then do that. And then later on, as you built your corporation out.
Very precarious position. Yeah, you're right.
Could you make one times interface or interior for those hub or interchanges or whatever they're called, and then copy paste a few times over without losing a lot of reference overhead? It was just a mass reduce. Well, if we blueprint an entire interior for the inner system hubs and military headquarters and stuff, they won't have really an impact on the ref handles at all.
You got guts, that's for damn
Basically, the game is reading them from the data like it does for everything else record-wise, and it's not loading them in at all times. So, in essence, what we would do, if we have the team to do it, is we would just basically build interiors for all this stuff, and then, boom, it's done. They're fine.
If you're quick, I think you can take them out before they have a chance.
Nice. What are some plans for monetizing exploration, like planet and space exploration? There's a lot of that right now. Hopefully we can start showing that probably tomorrow. We were doing this for 2 hours today. We're going to do this every day, 12 o'clock, run it for an hour or two, and just keep playing through this. But for exploration, just right now, it's a huge XP boost. Arriving at the orbit, you get XP. Scanning the local anomaly, if there is one, gets you XP. Scanning the local planet gets you XP, and then if you decide you want to land and find the traits, you get XP. If the orbit contains any additional POIs, they could have ways to earn. So, for instance, if we have a derelict ship, you could take the ship over and then sell it and get credits from the sale. If a ship was blown up or there's a discarded crate, you can loot it and sell the goods, whatever was there. There's quests you can run into in space. So you get a lot of avenues for exploration, and then just finding interesting stuff that we designed that's trying to kind of tell the story as environmentally as we can. So there's not like a direct quest, but we are intentionally implying quite a few things that is in line to the storyline. Actually, a good segue here, somebody earlier had asked about why are the gates? Why are they there in Starfield, right? And so the lore behind it is that they popped into existence 10 years ago. And one of our trailers kind of talks about that as well, that they just literally popped into existence. Now, why did they pop into existence? Well, a lot of that is stuff that you'll kind of figure out a little bit by playing through Starfield with StarSim installed, including how the end of the main storyline now works. So the main storyline has been adjusted at the end, and you will definitely find different POIs that we have added that are implying other aspects of what already existed in the main storyline, or kind of historically stuff. We have to keep it vague because this is Bethesda's storyline. They have concepts they're working towards. In that announcement they did not that long ago, they're already talking about they're working towards the Starborn DLC. So we have to keep things vague because it sounds like they're going to do a lot more stuff towards that storyline. So, but it all derives off of the creators of the Starborn and things like that. And there's a reason why the gates exist, and there's a reason where the gates are trying to direct you to go, that you'll find out if you play the game straight through.
Over to the Rock and ask for Emma Wilcox. She handles the new recruits.
We'll take it from here.
Yeah, anchor plate's a good idea. I like that. I think we'll definitely dig into that one and just add a little bit to it as sort of like an office space that you can take over for a certain amount of credits as like your starting place.
Well done indeed.
I could even see the den. That's a good opportunity to do that as well. Yeah, I'd love it. Oh, there you go. So you are done all the initialization junk.
There's always something. Ah, so you're the delivery person. Well, here's your payment. Oh, and this never happened.
Interesting. So somebody was just testing. Steam Deck runs very well with StarSim installed. I didn't expect it to make much of a difference. We've really kind of went overboard on the optimizations. Yeah, I talk about the fact that I love the whole war thing, but I really want to go and build a corporation. I'm building this for myself just as much, and I love that aspect of, building a corporation out, and, maybe you want Ryujin and you're doing espionage on other corporations to screw them over, so you have better stuff working out for your own corporation. We can do some really crazy stuff with it. And then the war module comes out, and maybe you start to aim more towards a private military corp as opposed to more reputable goals. So you're kind of another ecliptic and everything like that. Like the sky's the limit. Space is the limit.
I'm Annie Wilcox. You're new in town, aren't you?
Yeah, that's so weird. Like, there should be nothing that we're doing for the initialization that would have any impact on the cruise mode's POIs. Like, nothing. So I'm about to chalk that up to weird stuff that happens in the engine, which we've run into hundreds of those that make absolutely no sense.
Ranger Emma Wilcox gave it to me, so it's official.
It's going to be interesting stuff that happens in the war. So
that's right. She's a
just
senior ranger, which means she's in charge of me and all the other rangers. Well, except Diego, because he's a senior ranger too. Oh, and the marshal. He's in charge of all the rangers.
What I will say is what you did in Shattered Space has a major difference in what happens within the war module.
I watch people and listen to them. If I hear something about smuggling or Aurora or gangs, I tell the Rangers. It's easy, because no one pays attention to kids. Plus, I know a lot of good hiding places all over the city. I'm the best Ranger surveillance assistant that ever lived. Someday, I'll teach
I would say,
other
Zal, if you
kids
want
the
to
tricks
take
of
back
the
off
trade.
again,
Better
and then
prepare
we'll
the next generation, 'cause I won't be here forever.
kind of meander
What's
along.
it gonna be? Are you gonna be a law-abiding citizen, or are you gonna be on my list?
We'll try to work towards Jemison. You know how difficult it gets to try to get over there. I think one thing we want to emphasize here is we're an hour and 41 minutes in, and just organically going to Hopetown, organically going to Aquila, but you can see how you are calling the shots. You're landing at these places, you're taking up these storylines. You might be working your way towards Jemison in that process, but you're able to get, I like to see when you're done here what your journal looks like right now. I'm sure it's got quite a few quests you've started up.
Aquila City is just crawling with crime. It's everywhere. And it's up to us Rangers to do something about it.
They're still in,
And Ranger surveillance.
definitely in development.
Someone's stealing
I would say
guns and
the
stuff while they're
autopilot
armed.
is very close,
And none of the adults
but it's a
believe
lot of tightening
So we're
just to make the
hoping,
interface work a lot better.
You know, you can help
And
us break it all open.
some of the other features we need to get back in.
Certainly.
Like, I want to get the orbit map back
doing
in
my Ranger patrol.
ASAP, because I
There
love
was
that
a
map.
suspicious character cased
And
in Laredo arms.
I think that'll help a little bit
I wanted
also
the
with,
bonds I could,
especially with
but I could rush
autopilot.
home for bedtime.
You know, interacting on the local basis where your orbits are at. And then we're just dabbling in a few other features, like radio stations and what we need to get them
I
in.
told him about the suspicious stranger. But
This way, if I want to just joyride a little bit and go and say, all right, I'm going to autopilot from Jemison to Aquila, just turn the autopilot on and just wander about, turn some music on, research some things, craft some stuff, talk to people, do whatever for a little while, and let the thing just fly. And then I think one of the things that this adds is, you know, just looking out your windows and just seeing the sights as you're traveling around.
This case was too big
It's pretty
for
neat.
just one race.
Like when you go and do the Crimson Fleet storyline where you're on the Jade Swan and you're looking out the windows and seeing a busy Jemison and a busy Psi 920 or whatever it is, versus previously it's just
Found out that the thief breaks
not
in most
as
nights,
much.
like really late. He's got his own key card. We just need to catch him.
Would there be any new skins, spacesuits, guns, objects that show up in future iterations? Not likely, since we're only doing space, so we're not really getting down to the character level. It would depend on...
We need to bring him to justice.
We have concepts for a really neat narrative concept we're doing right now. It very much in pre-concept stage. If there was going to be anything that's around in spacesuits, guns, objects, it would probably fall in that one since it utilizes space, but you're also leaving the ship and doing other things. But generally speaking, anything we're doing for StarSim is going to be exclusively in space. With the exception of the narratives and the exception of we want to get outposts hooked in to the economy. We're not doing an outpost creation, changing how outposts work. It would just be a method for you to be able to basically snap in the economy so that traders can actually land and buy stuff from your outposts, and you can move resources from your outposts to other stations that you own, giving them more purpose.
You have a nice day now.
Hey, I need to talk.
Essentially a special landing pad cargo box that just plugs in. Yeah, that's probably the best route to do it. I don't want to mess with the way they have the current thing. We looked into a bit, like we'd have it where freighters you own attached to the headquarters would be what's actually moving the stuff using the current cargo link system, and that whole system is spaghetti. So, what happened there?
Where the
Exploded.
ships are.
Every ship exploded next to you. Capital. Yeah, it would be a separate thing. Like, you'd place down like a special landing pad, and then there'd be a computer system where you could set up like, and you would do like link refs and say, I want to have, you know, X amount of this resource and this product and this whatever gets moved into it, and then freighters can access that. A virtual station. They would read that as the same way they read everything else when they're moving content between everything. So when it comes to future outposts, would the actual freighters we see in space be landing and picking up? Yep. We're even trying to find a way to make it so one of the autopilot is landing, but it's very, very tricky because you don't have easy access to data like that in what we can work with. But if we can, I'd love to be able to go and sit there and say, you know, land at planet, and then it actually finds a landing marker and lands you there, and then take off. And we already can doing pretty good testing on like fly through the network and jump to certain places, and you can have your ship automated to trade for you if you want.
Is Pulpa, is that in Arian?
Yes. No, Valo.
I guess
Narian is Vectera Crete. In our Discord, we have optional charts would keep the original vision of exploration and let people who want that still use it. Because I know that's important to a lot of people who like space games, but also provide a lore-friendly, logical shortcut for people who want to get to places for a purpose a little faster. This was in relation to buying space charts from stations, and I love that concept. Did it all the time in X3. So it can go both ways. You're selling space charts, the places you've explored, and then and asteroid data, or you're buying it, and then the map just pops up certain areas of what you've learned. Could be routes. Routes actually make more sense. I don't think a location matters as much as, you know, here's an awesome route I had that made me a lot of money. Boom, shows up on the network, and then you can use that as a way to make more money with your own freighters. Don't you worry about the chunks. We got some pretty cool stuff that chunks will be involved in. I mean, besides being a restaurant and things like that. They love to send spam emails to your inbox. But sometimes those spam emails are actually real. See, now I'm noticing with yours, Zyla, is that now because the initialization is completed, you're getting those quest targets popping up a lot more often, and it's reorganized it. Which makes sense. Myatha would be the right direction you want to do it. Don't you do it, very nice. Well, I'm especially adding in, you know, ship warranties. It's your favorite. We got to have ship warranties. It's an important part of the gameplay. So we're going to add ship warranties on everything, and they're going to be contacting you once a in-game day, I think is a reasonable amount. And they're completely legit. Yes. So, in essence, here's the economy set up like this, right? So, the factions have stations that are in line to what they're producing, right? So, Red Harvest is food supply, so typically it's going to be doing farms, pretty much verbatim. all their farms are constantly producing all the baseline food necessities that a farm will provide. And then if the faction itself also, it's right in that asteroid. If they also have other stations that do more than just produce, like they need other resources, their internal freighters will be moving stuff around. So a station basically will say, hey faction, I'm less than 20% of wheat, and I need wheat. Get me wheat. And then Red Harvest, the faction, will go, cool, do any of my stations provide wheat? Yes, this farm here does. So, hey, I want to assign this freighter to move X amount of wheat from that station over to the one that needs the wheat. Then it goes, oh, our wheat is empty right now. We have none in stock. Cool. I'll let the logistic companies know. Wheat for wood. Logistics, I'll basically say, we don't have any wheat available. Can you get it for us? And then Trade Authority or Star Parcel or what, they'll take the job and they get paid a commission whenever they do that. And they'll go and move it from other corporations that make wheat. So it's the economy we designed, and especially once you can play it and interact with it, is intricate as hell. They use the stock market already to have money. So if a company's doing really well, it'll buy up more of its stock or it'll buy its competitor's stock. If its company's doing poorly, it'll sell its stock to have more operating capital when it needs to buy things, sell things, do stuff like that. All that's in here right now. It's more of our steps will be taken to give you agency to interact with these systems in a way that we're comfortable representing it the best we can in here. Yeah, that's a per station basis. The price will change based on its supply and demand. We look at production cycles and how full a station is. So when a station is full of products it creates, the price is the lowest. When it's out of it, the price is the highest, type of thing. But it's on a per production cycle basis per station. So this offers opportunity for everything like you would deal with across the board. That's the part. So when Eli was talking about the whole blockade thing and he got excited, that was the part right there. You can do some crazy stuff. With chunks as the example, which is what he used at the time, you blockade Altair, the main way that travel would go through for pretty much all the economy. I love the planetary rings. I wish they would have pulled them in by default. They just look so good. Correct. As much as we are able to in the program, we can't have direct dependencies, so everything's all indirect. So every other module will work completely standalone. See you later. But yeah, each of the modules will work completely standalone if you have just Starfield installed with that module. And then if they see that Beyond Space is installed, they turn on the functionality to really interact with what is currently here. But it also means we can focus a lot more than... There's limits in the engine, and this was also part of the problem of why we did what we did here as well. There was too much embedded into what we were doing to the point where it couldn't handle all the stuff all at once, built into one giant file. So us being able to kind of split this out makes it so we can fine-tune kind of the presentation of it and kind of perfect how all the stuff is currently working. So we're not just kind of like muddying the waters and trying to do 10,000 things all at once, when instead we can really perfect what we have in here now, which is the absolute core. If the network doesn't work, then a lot of the functionality doesn't work at all. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, since we've kind of pinpointed what we're doing for the hooks in this, anybody can build anything off of StarSim and be set. The difficulty, I think, is you have to build, like, that's what's killing us right now, is by not having dependencies, we got to build something that is complete for each of these modules. So it's a good thing, because now we're going to go through and really build some interesting stuff for each of these, so that you don't put, if Beyond Space doesn't exist, you're still getting experience Come on, Zyla, get through that gate. Like, you're not breaking my network. I need autopilot back. I'm getting the shakes from not being able to access autopilot right now. Have you scanned any of the anomalies yet, Zyla? I see that one over there. Oh, let's get it. So anomalies are in pretty much all the orbits. This one is a gravitational one that like skews everything in the screen. As you scan these, you gain experience. I think I didn't bring that up before when you arrived in the orbits. And then they get added to the database. And then once the magnetic ripple, so it's the magnetic one. These get out of the database. Once we go and express that a bit more, you can then basically go and offer this information as well and sell off that, hey, there's a magnetic ripple or an asteroid field or a nebula or whatever at these orbits, and sell that for money. And then Quest will sit there and or missions will basically say, hey, you know, I'm looking for da-da-da-da-da in an orbit that contains a whatever. And then you can basically look at that information and find which orbits you visited that contain a certain anomaly, quote unquote. But yeah, going back to that with the modules, I want nothing more than folks to extend StarSim completely. Any direction they want to take it. This is foundational. We have our definitive vision for what we see, but I'm sure others have the same thing for what they want to see. So, yeah, you're getting slammed right now. Something's happening somewhere. There might be a battle happening. I'm noticing you're taking longer to get the gates. So you can see right now with the stream, it took longer for the gate thing to pop up, and she's longer in the gates. You're seeing firsthand what happens with StarSim. We're killing off certain functionality in StarSim by design to keep the game, the general game, flowing because of how much we need to do to process all this stuff. So you'll see this every so often if something's happening in the simulation that's expensive, that you're in the gate a little bit longer or the thing doesn't pop up. It's just the nature of when Papyrus gets beat up, that it's just trying to catch back up. And we'll go and turn a lot of stuff off in StarSim temporarily to let it get caught up again before it continues, to keep that stability going for everything else. So likely there's probably a battle happening somewhere that's doing calculations on that. Yep, and now it's going. Right, yeah, so somewhere is getting beat up right now by somebody. We're gonna probably start wrapping this up in about 12 minutes, Silo.
Good Jamison. We can probably end
close.
them.
Yeah, I think you'll make it. Oh, Altair 2. That orbit crashed us for weeks after free lanes came out. Cruise mode hated this place. We got a taco for that sound effect. Yeah, we could. We actually disabled the music very early in development because this also played the Starfield jingle when you go through grab jumping. That had to be cut. Which simulation happens on the galactic scale versus the local? It's identical. So we just rotate through orbits in the network. So every orbit gets a turn. And then the only thing really happening differently in the orbit you're in is that it's happening per tick all the time. So in essence, it's every single time it's going through an update, it's updating your orbit you're in plus a turn for everything else. So in essence, what will happen here is, you know, if correct. At a pace that this can actually handle, which once the initialization completes, it tends to get through back to the same orbit within a few minutes, and it just rotates its way through. And then what we're doing is basically saying X amount of time has passed, all the ships and stations that are in there, do what you need to do as if you were updating in real time with that change in time, and then they get caught up. I think, what is it? Mercury, Kurtz, Jemison, Zyla?
Would this be north all the way from
Yep.
here?
Northwest west. Sorry, a moment. I'm talking to Bethesda right now. Give me 1 second here. Yeah, I think I noticed that Iris just gets kind of backed up, and then when you reload again, it sort of just unwinds the whole game, just like, what are you doing to me here with all this StarSim stuff? I hate you. Wait. No, you should be going... Wait. Isn't it west to Kurtz to get the Jemison?
The map shows that it's like straight north. So
That doesn't make any sense. No, I think you're going... You're taking him to Earth. To that end, as it stands currently, what sort of things is StarSim ticking in the simulation? Everything. So the AI is done. Completely. So Beyond Space is completely doing all simulation that could possibly happen. The only thing that's not in right now, and it's kind of an extension of the simulation, is going to be embassies for diplomacy when we do the war module. That kind of acts as the way that the major yeah, hold on. Yeah, no. You want to go to Jemison. So it should be Mercury, west to Kurtz, and then west to Jemison. Yeah, the embassies will basically send like a diplomatic envoy to another chosen government, UC, Freestar, whatever. And then they basically send sort of an event. So they'll be like insulting, praising, whatever. Kind of like Tropico. I love Tropico. So you go to the embassy and you have just a very simple action you apply to different governments. And then when the relationship between two major governments falls too low, they go into a hot war and they start attacking each other and stuff, and it gets pretty crazy. Like the aggressor will systematically go and clear out all military and stuff within each of the orbits, working their way towards the capital. And then they'll hold it as long as they can. We've dabbled with some stuff, and I don't know if we're going to be able to do this, but like, you know, when UC takes over Aquila, and then they start sending dropships down to attack Aquila City, but that gets insanely complicated when you factor in states of various cities. So we'll see on that one. I think it's fine to at least keep it space and go from there, but yeah, war is going to be... I can't wait for them. After seeing what we've done to the Crimson Fleet final battle, my God, I want to see a lot more of that happening. Yeah, nothing is if you want UC, for instance, you get to the kind of spoilers here, but I'm sure folks have done Crimson Fleet stuff. You get to the end, there's the major battle happening, and you're kind of in that last part where it's just you and whoever survived. You're like, oh no, what's happening? Where's the fleet at? And then the fleet jumps in, only we've drastically expanded the fleets. So when that fleet jumps in, when your frame rate's like, what are you doing to me for a second? And then it goes back. And then that battle is nuts. Like, crazy nuts. So yeah, do Crimson Fleet. Get to the end. Doesn't matter what side you take. Do Crimson Fleet and get to the end. And it's, if you like space battles, I think you'll be pleased. It's tough, especially if you go UC. So I would strongly recommend, if you got like Watchtower and stuff, bring your fleets in. Because you'll need them on top of what is provided. And it adds even more. That was weird. It adds even more emphasis on finding all the evidence and stuff because it gives you more of a support in those attacks. Yeah, you want to be doing that. Right. So, yes, the economy simulation is running. You can participate in it right now kind of indirectly. So you're still able to interact with, like, freighters. In fact, Xylo and I were talking earlier about, I wonder what happens if you start dialogue with a civilian ship that is currently freighting something and trade. Is it going to show the stuff that they're moving? That'd be really bad. Never even thought to even test that. But you can indirectly impact the economy right now by, say, blowing up a ship, taking the cargo. For piracy, which we haven't really gotten into on this session, we're going to be getting into it plenty in the future. What's important about the economic simulation is understanding what is juicy targets if, say, you're going piracy, which is more of a thing now with what we've built than what you can normally do in the base game. So understanding what products are worthwhile, understanding when a freighter is moving about, you see them dock at one of those stations that offers capital ship weapons, which sell for a substantial amount. All right, so you see the ship dock there. Now, you don't know necessarily, unless you followed it through its entire life cycle, whether it was just dropping off resources or whether it's picking up the capital ship weapons. So you don't know that part. But if you are following it and you're understanding how the ships move about, you're able then to say, all right, well, this ship just picked up a bunch of capital ship weapons that sell for like $1 million apiece. Then, dumbly, that ship decided to, hey, I'm going to just float about in Ursa Minor without escort. You know, nothing ever happens to me. Well, you followed. You go through, and depending on how you want to be a pirate, you want to be a friendly, quote-unquote, pirate and say, give me all your stuff, fine. Use the dialogue and do piracy. You want to say, I'm going to shoot you with EMP and take your ship over, kill all of you, and take the ship and the cargo, you can do that. Or just blow it up and get the cargo that survived in the cargo hold after you blow the ship up itself. So you've got that. That's where the economy, I think, is now. Is there a lot you can do right now to sustain the economy? Yes, but it's not in your face. Like, stopping pirates from attacking is helping.
We appear to have a visitor.
Welcome to Constellation. We have a lot.
Are there changes in turrets or missiles? Missiles, absolutely. Missiles are super effective now. Sarah's managed to take out a spacer fleet in an asteroid field using missiles.
Vasco,
since you can lob them a lot further, as long as you're staying out of range of like the frigate's anti-fighter weapons, of black weapons that'll obliterate you if you're in a C-class or lower. You can just lob missiles at it. You're staying away from them. You kind of can pull the fighters and stuff towards you and kind of tactically dogfight with them. And then when you're left with the capital ships, which are slow, insanely slow, you're just lobbing missiles at them and staying out of range of their heavy weapons. So, yeah, missiles are super important now. Turrets, no. They're kind of a mess anyway in the base game, and there's not a lot of access to change them.
Did anyone see anything?
How's the bounty witness system work with space piracy, where there are hundreds of ships everywhere?
Interesting.
Same as the base
Similar to
game.
Barrett's
So if
description
you're
of
in an
aliens,
orbit that has them,
less
then the orbit tends to go
relevant.
hostile.
You hearing this? Do you all believe me?
So ideally, you probably don't want to be
So not what's
doing
that?
piracy in Jemison, because the flagship's there and it's going to rip your face off kind of thing. But if the freighters decide to go to a border orbit that has maybe just a few security ships at best, and you think you can take the security ships on, fair game. Now, the danger here is, yeah, you're in this orbit in Crete and there's just security ships, but you don't know if a carrier with its escort's about to go through the nearby gate. You clear security ships out, you start pirating, and then the carrier comes through the thing, and then you're in big trouble. So it's always a danger to do it inside the settled systems. Outside of it, if there's only a few freighters flying about in unclaimed space, it's kind of fair game.
They're reacting. Look at how it's coming together.
You just take all the ships out that are in the area and get all their stuff.
Manufactured material in the settled systems can do that. None of them.
We're going to finish up in a second here. Any of that impact what I, as the player, experience? If I do things that hook up Dynamo Star Yard, does that create dynamic pricing that makes my life better? Yes, but not expressed on the player side right now.
You're on, Walter.
So really, I would say with where it is currently,
Not to take away from the moment, but
the products are integrated into the mission boards that you get, the standard ones where you transfer or transport stuff. And the rewards you get for them is commensurate to the difficulty of the product you're moving.
Introduce yourself to everyone.
You can roleplay the situation where you're protecting freighters, or joining security, or joining the military. You can directly engage if there's direct attacks happening, and you can clear out ships like you would if there was like a space encounter. Most of the actual player agency things you can do right now are piracy, smuggling, which those are drastically changed now. You want to do that kind of stuff where you're not being scanned immediately by going through an orbit. You're using location security ships to make sure you stay out of range. You're kind of watching where they are to move contraband around. I know that was a big complaint about doing any kind of smuggling, was that you're just scanned every time, so you have to either go to Wolf, to the Den, to go to Trade Authority. Now you can actually sneak through Jemison and get to the well and sell there, or in other places that you would otherwise be always scanned. And then you still get the benefits from adding equipment. Oh yeah, ships are moving through the gate network all the time, or they arrive through into your orbit if they're going there as well. Yeah, they're always moving. Now, where your actions now can affect stuff is when, say, the economic module comes out, right? Because at that point, you can direct trade with the station. You can direct purchase and sell stocks. You can run your own corporation. You can move your own freighters. So you have a lot more controls at that point if the economy is the direction you would like to go.
I am at your
You would go towards that module. But I think we should call it here. So we're 2 hours in. We're going to do this every day. So I should be in on this for quite a few of them. But Zyla will be spearheading these more when we get into the future. So we're going to do this again tomorrow.
Available to you.
And we're going to output this video when we're done. But any questions you have, keep throwing them through Discord. And we'll make some big changes today on the creations page and a few other things. So whatever you feel we need to convey everything,
I hope
we're going to do it. And we're doing a lot of that stuff today. A proper feature list and just kind of cleaning stuff up to make things very clear. And we got a lot of things on the pipeline for what's needed in version 1.09. So I think when we get that 1.09 out, between all the feedback we've gotten so far, most of the core issues for lack of information and things like that will be gone. And then it's the race to go and get these modules up to standards for what we're looking for and getting them out as quickly as we can.
You know that.
I do think we have a lot of fun in Beyond Space right now,
You are
and
satisfied with the quarters available to you.
you know, it's definitely a fun experience depending on you're playing it as it is currently.
The work we're involved
So.
in, the discoveries we're making, it's all worth it.
Right. Thank you everyone for being on here. You want to run the little bumper thingamajiggy, and we'll call it.
Bye.
See you later.
The void is yours.
Doctor, lawyer, I'll never be life of a drifter. Only life for me. Bang, bang, bang. Vamonos. Vamonos.